Episode 29 of Wasteland Weaponistics, and I have to ask everyone, do you feel lucky? Well, do you, viewers? It's Smith & Wesson Model 29 time. The Model 29 first appeared in Fallout 2, and has since then reappeared in Fallout Tactics, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4, and Fallout 76, making it one of the most popular weapons to ever appear in a Fallout game. Now, we can't talk about the history of the Model 29 revolver without talking about the cartridge and the bad man behind it. Elmer Keith. Elmer was a man obsessed with powerful revolvers. Elmer Keith is the reason we have Magnum revolvers today. He created the first Magnum round, the .357 Magnum. But what is a Magnum? But a miserable pile of secrets. A Magnum usually refers to a round that is a more powerful version of another round. The best example of this is actually .327 Federal Magnum, which was made by taking the 32 H&R Magnum and made longer. The 32 H&R Magnum was made by taking 32 Smith & Wesson Long and making it longer. 32 Smith & Wesson Long was made by taking 32 Smith & Wesson Short and making it longer. That is how Magnums used to work. Take one cartridge, make it longer, it's a Magnum now. Elmer Keith did this with the 38 Special to make .357 Magnum. Take 44 Special, and he made 44 Magnum. He also designed the 41 Magnum round. However, there is no 41 Special, at least not as an official cartridge. Now, the term Magnum started to get applied to all types of other cartridges, even though they weren't Magnum versions of other cartridges. It usually just meant powerful. And the name got worn out and started to be used over and over and over again. You had things like the Winchester Super Short Magnum series of rifle rounds, the 300 Remington Ultra Magnum. You had so many things like this that companies have basically abandoned the name Magnum, and they haven't really found a good substitute word. We have things like 224 Valkyrie, 350 Legend, 300 Hammer. The Model 2944 Magnum revolver was designed in the 1950s for Elmer Keith by Smith & Wesson to go with his 44 Magnum round. He basically just kept bothering Smith & Wesson until they would go about making his gun. The Model 29, when it was released, was a semi-popular revolver with handgun hunters and target shooters, but its popularity really soared when Clint Eastwood used it in his Dirty Harry series of movies. Some of you might not know this, but Dirty Harry was not the first movie to have a Smith & Wesson Model 29 in it. It's actually the fourth. 3 movies featured this revolver years before Dirty Harry. The first movie to feature the Model 29 was 1967's Point Blank. The 2 others were 1968's Targets and 1969's The Brain. While each of these movies featured the Model 29, none of them made them their showcase weapon like Dirty Harry did. The only one of these movies I have ever seen is Targets, and it's a very interesting movie if you can stand darker tones. Now let's see how the Model 29 is doing in the Fallout universe. Fallout 2, the weapon description reads, being that this is the most powerful handgun in the world and can blow your head clean off, you gotta ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Well, it says it's the most powerful handgun in the world. It's not the most powerful handgun in Fallout 2. In fact, it's not even the second most, or third. It's the fourth. However, the Model 29 is the best damage to weapon cost pistol in the game, only costing around 600 caps, while the others cost thousands of caps. You can find the Model 29 being sold in Vault City. A jet drug dealer in New Reno also has one of these revolvers. Eldred's Arms, the weapon dealer of New Reno, will sell these revolvers. That's it for Fallout 2. So on to Fallout Tactics. In Fallout Tactics, the description has changed to the most powerful revolver of its time, with a muzzle energy 30% greater than its contemporaries, which is a far better fitting in Fallout Tactics, as it's not the most powerful pistol again. In Fallout Tactics, the weapon is exceptionally rare, only found on a random raider in the town of Freeport and on a really random dead body in the town of Quincy. Very insignificant role in Fallout Tactics, which is kind of strange as there is a direct reference to Clint Eastwood in Fallout Tactics with the characters of Hillary Eastwood and her daughter Evita Eastwood, neither of which carry Model 29s. So on that note, we move to Fallout 3 in the Capital Wasteland. Here we find the Scope 44 Magnum. In Fallout 3, we can proudly say that it is the most powerful ballistic handgun in the game. However, it falls way behind when comparing it to energy weapons. In the capital wasteland, the Model 29 is everywhere. Well, maybe not everywhere, but it's incredibly easy to get a Scope 44. They are found in both pre-war and post-war locations and used by multiple post-war factions and individuals. Some locations that you can find an abandoned Model 29 are the Marigold Station by Grey Ditch. Whether this is a pre-war skeleton or a resident of Grey Ditch killed by fire ants is unknown. You can find one lost in a boating accident at the Jefferson Memorial. You can find a Model 29 at Hubris Comics. You can also find one in the Chrysler Building, and in the ladies' room of the Vault-Tec headquarters, of all places, most likely a reference to the song Pistol Packing Mama. A unique Scope 44 can be acquired from the Citadel Armory, but only if you choose to use the Citadel as the target for the orbital bombardment during the Broken Steel questline. You gain access to the Secret Armory, where you can find Callahan's Magnum, a direct reference to the Dirty Harry movie. And this weapon even has lore behind it. It belonged to Harold Callahan, a pre-war military police officer. This is the most powerful of the unique 44s. It is extremely powerful. But is that worth blowing up the Brotherhood of Steel? Post-war usage, you can find Scope 44s being sold by multiple vendors of the region, who all sell firearms. A Scope 44 Magnum can be found in the Brotherhood Quartermaster Knight Captain Durga's room. One is also found in the Riley Rangers headquarters and is used by Butcher, the mercenary group's medic. Several raiders and slavers can be found using the Scope 44 Magnum, like Eulogy Jones and Goalie Ledoux, the leader of a sudden death overtime hockey-themed gang. A special individual, a music-loving old lady named Agatha, is where you can acquire another unique Model 29, the Blackhawk. Why it's called the Blackhawk, I don't really know. It could be a reference to the Ruger Blackhawk revolver, but that revolver is styled off of the Colt single-action army, not a Smith & Wesson. It might also be a reference to a series of comic books by the same name. Fallout does have a lot of references to comic books. References aside, while the Blackhawk is more powerful than the standard Scope 44, it is the weakest of all of the unique ones. Another individual that carries a unique Model 29 is Paulson, a cowboy abducted by aliens. His revolver is very unique, being the only model in Fallout 3 that doesn't feature a scope, and it doesn't fire a single bullet. Instead, it works almost like a small shotgun, like it's firing a 44-shot shell instead of a standard round. Now, I want to return to Paulson much later, as I want to put forth a theory about him. So now we'll move to the most mysterious user of the 44 Magnum, the Mysterious Stranger. Who is the Mysterious Stranger? Well, according to the Prima strategy guide for Fallout 3, he isn't just a man, but actually an eldritch being. Yes, even eldritch horrors like Shaggoth and Cthulhu trust in Smith & Wesson. The Mysterious Stranger is actually a reference to something Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, wrote, or sort of wrote. He never finished this novel. It was about Satan, or as he called him, number 44, the Mysterious Stranger. It's something like that. It had to do a lot with the number 44 and Satan. And the Fallout Mysterious Stranger uses the 44 Magnum. So the Mysterious Stranger might be Satan, or maybe Satan's brother or something like that. Now, the Mysterious Stranger has appeared in older Fallouts. However, they didn't use 44 Magnum revolvers back then. Only in Fallout 3 onward did that become the Mysterious Stranger's signature weapon. In Fallout 3, there is a lot of just random minor characters that all wield this revolver. Honestly, there's too many to list in this video. So we'll move on to New Vegas. In the Mojave Wasteland, the Model 29 doesn't have a scope permanently attached like in Fallout 3, but is instead a mod that you can attach to the weapon. The only other attachment is the heavy frame. The Model 29 revolver is not as prevalent in New Vegas as it was in Fallout 3, but one can still find one easily. They can be bought from the gun runners as well as several other random merchants. For factions that use this revolver, that would be the NCR. General Oliver of the NCR is equipped with one. Veteran Rangers can also spawn with these magnums from time to time. Second biggest user would be Caesar's Legion. Several members of Caesar's Legion can be found using them. The most prominent one would be Deaconus Cerberus, the quartermaster of Cottonwood Cove. The Umuertas mobsters use this revolver as well, but only during a single quest line. So I'm guessing that they use these revolvers whenever there's serious business about. Several of the raider gangs, like the Vipers and Fiends, use these revolvers as well. In Fallout New Vegas, we see another Eldritch being enter the lore, equipped with a Model 29, Miss Fortune, basically the female variant of the Mysterious Stranger. Her Model 29 is called the Bad Luck Bringer. Now in Fallout New Vegas, there is only a single usable, unique 44 Magnum. That is the Mysterious Magnum. It's owned by the Lonesome Drifter, whose father is one of the Eldritch Mysterious Strangers. The Mysterious Stranger left him this revolver. This revolver possesses some magical abilities, like playing a theme tune whenever it is drawn or holstered. If you're in stealth and draw or holster this weapon, the tune will actually play quieter. Other than that, it's the exact same engraved and mother-of-pearl gripped revolver that the Mysterious Stranger and Miss Fortune use. However, this one has a negative feature about it, unlike most uniques. The revolver breaks extremely fast compared to a standard 44. I guess that's the price you pay for more damage, and a magical tune. Leaving the West Coast, we head back east to the Commonwealth of Fallout 4. Here, the Model 29 is much more customizable. You can make it into a pocket pistol or even turn it into a Smith & Wesson Model 629 competition gun with the heavy-weighted bull barrel. The strangest thing about the Fallout 4 version is the fact that the player cocks it back every time like a single-action revolver. Now, you can do this with the Model 29. It will give you a much lighter trigger pull than firing it double action, but it's kind of annoying in my opinion. I'm wondering if this was done as some type of balancing option. So much like in Fallout 3, the Model 29 is very common. You can actually get one at the start of the game by just running over to this pump station out on the other side of the lake at Sanctuary Hills. You can also get a Smith & Wesson Model 29 in the Federal Surveillance Center K-21B. So some federal agency pre-war was issuing out these revolvers, or it might just be a personal weapon. Much like in Fallout New Vegas, we see another Mafia-style faction using these pistols, the Triggermen. The Raiders of the Commonwealth and Nuka World use Model 29s. In fact, the Disciples faction even have developed their own bayonets for these pistols. Very Webley Pritchard of them. Now, there are several unique Model 29s in Fallout 4. 3 from the base game and 1 from the Creation Club. The most well-known is Kellogg's pistol, the Institute's favorite cyborg merc. Kellogg's pistol was given to him by his mother all the way on the West Coast, in NCR territory, and through his mercenary work, he eventually made it to the Commonwealth, where the Institute originally tried to kill him. But after he destroyed their sense like they were nothing, they hired him, and then enhanced him with cyborg parts. Kellogg's pistol has the Relentless effect, replenishing action points on a crit. The next unique is the Gainer, which is like 5 Easter eggs and several references in one. It's located in the Vital pump house. The Gainer, and how you get it, is actually a reference to System Shock, Deus Ex, and the game Snatcher. Also, it was a little gift for a friend of the developer who made the Easter egg. So the Deus Ex and System Shock references come from the door code of 0451. The bloodied body you see is actually a reference to a Hideo Kojima game called Snatcher. And the name Gainer is actually a homophone of the developer's friend's last name, which sounds the same as Gainer, but spelled differently. The Gainer fires incendiary bullets. The next unique is Eddie's piece. It is dropped from the ghoulified mob boss, Eddie Winters. If you didn't know about Eddie Winters in the lore, he's actually a pre-war ghoul. Like, he was a ghoul before the war. He got all his crimes forgiven in exchange for the government conducting radiation experiments on him, turning him into a ghoul. Stuff like this actually happened in real life, and it's probably still happening, and we just don't know it. I mean, look up things like the Holmesburg program, or the Cincinnati radiation experiments. On to the last unique of Fallout 4. It comes from the Creation Club, the early retirement. I have not purchased this creation, but I do know this entire creation mini DLC thing is just a giant Blade Runner reference. It's about hunting escaped synths, and you eventually get a 44 called Early Retirement, which is what they call hunting down rogue replicants in the Blade Runner series. The pistol is all black with 2 red lights on the side, which is a reference to Deckard's pistol, which also has 2 red lights. I find this pistol very interesting, as throughout Fallout we've had a direct reference to Blade Runner's pistol with the 223 pistol from older Fallouts at New Vegas. The 223 pistol is a direct copy of the one from Blade Runner. Why they chose to use a Smith & Wesson Model 29 to be the reference, I don't know. Early Retirement features more damage to synths. So yeah, Fallout 4 is filled with references to other movies and video games, yet no Dirty Harry reference this time. Not that I could find. Now we do have to talk about the other kind of unique Smith & Wesson Model 29 in Fallout 4, and that comes from the Nuka World DLC. That is the quote-unquote Western Revolver. This is not a Western Revolver, it's just a Smith & Wesson Model 29 with a slightly different skin and grip. But this isn't a unique revolver, you can get multiple of them. So my thoughts are this is not actually meant to be a real Western revolver. Much like old movies used to do, it's just meant to be like a facsimile to just look the part. It used to happen all the time in old movies, where they'll just take one gun and try to make it look like another one, or they'll just use the wrong gun. These are actually called anachronisms. A great example of this is the movie called Texas Across the River. The movie takes place in 1845, but like every single weapon they use is like from the 1870s and 80s. Now, this is where I want to talk about Paulson from Fallout 3. Paulson has a very similar gun to the ones found in Nuka World, a Smith & Wesson Model 29 made to look like a Western revolver, and he's supposed to be an Old West cowboy. Now, if you take Paulson and have him walk past a Nuka-Cola machine that's on the Mothership Zeta spaceship, he'll look at it and go, "Nuka what?" Almost like he is having a flashback. I think Paulson lost his memory and somehow thinks he's a real Old West cowboy, but in reality he's just a Nuka World employee. It's either that, or the Smith & Wesson Model 29 is an actual Old West pistol in the Fallout universe, but that wouldn't make any sense, since the divergence didn't happen until after World War II. So yeah, tell me what you think about the Western Revolver and Paulson. And on that note, we go all the way to Fallout 76. Here, we find the standard Model 29 and the Western Revolver again, just like in Fallout 4. Because Fallout 76's vanilla game is 90% Fallout 4 assets, which leads to some really confusing lore sometimes. We'll cover the Western Revolver first, because it's easier and rarer in Fallout 76 than the standard one. Now, outside of random drops, you can get one from a responder's corpse at Point Pleasant. Despite this, the plans are actually sold by the Brotherhood of Steel vendor bot Phoenix in Watoga, so the Appalachian Brotherhood of Steel was interested in these pistols, or they were just selling them to make caps. Now for the proper 44. Well, you can find it on the governor's desk, of all places. Speaking of the governor, did you know the real-life governor of West Virginia, Jim Justice, made Fallout 76's release date a state holiday? You can find several of these revolvers at Hornwright Industrial Headquarters. Also, on the front desk of the Bolton Greens. The plan for the 44 can be bought from both Responder and Raider vendor bots. Speaking of the Responders, they have one unique version, the Somerset Special, which I believe is a reference to the Fitz Special. This was an old custom gun that an employee at Colt used to make, which is basically a very cut-down pocket revolver. The Somerset Special is also a very cut-down revolver when you get it. You can customize it into anything you want, but it comes with the short barrel. It features the anti-armor ability. It is acquired during the Final Departure questline. The only thing that's rather strange about the Somerset Special is, for some reason, it features a sniper scope. like Fallout 3, but a short barrel. It's a very confusing unique. The next faction-based 44 Magnum is from the Order of Mysteries. This one is the Voice of Set, a gun modeled after a Fallout TV superhero, the Mistress of Mysteries. The weapon is very unique, firing electrically charged rounds that do additional damage to robots. Like, I don't mean like the troubleshooter's effect. The gun basically applies a dot that does a little bit of damage after a few seconds. It's very interesting, this weapon. It comes with a reflex sight and a short barrel, and it is not customizable at all. The weapon's electrical ability gets boosted when wearing the full Garb of Mysteries set. Next, we have Medical Malpractice, a unique 44 originally added during the survival mode as a survival reward weapon, but was removed from the game after Bethesda removed the survival mode from Fallout 76. But Medical Malpractice has returned in Daily Ops. It even has its own unique skin now. The gun has the Medic's ability and is much better in VATS. It will heal you and your team every time you get a critical strike. The last Model 29 was added during Steel Dawn, which, if you don't know, Steel Dawn is actually the name of a really old movie as well. The gun is the Fact Finder, given as a reward by the Brotherhood of Steel scribe Valdez for doing the quest Mother of Invention. This revolver is very powerful as it features 2-shot, explosive, and is VATS enhanced. It's a very powerful 44 Magnum. Now, there was also supposed to be a special Garahan 44 Magnum pistol that had its own unique skin. However, this was never added to the game, and we don't really know why not. Well, that will be all for this pistol that will take your head clean off. Lots of information in this one, so if I got anything wrong, please leave a comment. See everybody in the next episode, or you can subscribe to my main channel, Trooper Fofo, for more gaming content. Alright, bye.